Bhagwat Gita has 700 verses. If we will read 100 verses each day, we will be able to complete the complete Bhagavad Gita in 7 days, 1 week. So let's start for Sunday. Food also, which is agreeable to different men according to their innate disposition, is of three kinds. And likewise, sacrifice, penance, and charity, two are of three kinds each. Here their distinction as follows. Foods which promote longevity, intelligence, vigor, health, happiness, and cheerfulness, and which are juicy, succulent, substantial, and naturally agreeable, are liked by men of sattvic nature. Foods which are bitter, sour, salty, overhot, pungent, dry, and burning, and which cause suffering, grief, and sickness, are dear to the Rajasic. Food which is ill cooked or not fully ripe, insipid, putrid, stale, and polluted, and which is impure food, is dear to men of tamasic disposition. The sacrifice which is offered as ordained by scriptural injunctions by men who expect no return and who believe that such sacrifices must be performed is sattvic in character. That sacrifice, however, which is offered for the sake of mere show, or even with an eye to its fruit, know it to be Rajasic Arjuna. A sacrifice which is not in conformity with the scriptural injunctions, in which no food is offered and no sacrificial fees are paid, which is without sacred chant of hymns and devoid of faith, is said to be tamasic. Worship of gods, the Brahmins, once gurus, elders, and wise men, purity, straightforwardness, continence, and non-violence. These are called pines of the body. Words which cause no annoyance to others and are truthful, agreeable, and beneficial, as well as the study of the Vedas and other Shastras, and the practice of the chanting of divine name. This is known as pines of speech. Cheerfulness of mind, placidity, habit of contemplation on God, control of the mind, and perfect purity of inner feelings. All this is called austerity of the mind. This threefold penance performed with supreme faith by yogis, expecting no return, is called sattvic. The austerity which is performed for the sake of renown, honor, or adoration, as well as for any other selfish gain, either in all sincerity or by way of ostentation, and yields an uncertain and momentary fruit, has been spoken of here as Rajasic. Penance which is resorted to out of foolish notion and is accompanied by self-mortification or is intended to harm others, such penance has been declared as tamasic. A gift which is bestowed with a sense of duty on one from whom no return is expected at appropriate time and place, and to a deserving person, that gift has been declared as sattvic. A gift which is bestowed in a grudging spirit and with the object of getting a service in return or in the hope of obtaining a reward is called rajasic. A gift which is made without good grace and in a disdainful spirit, out of time and place, and to undeserving persons, is said to be tamasic. Om Tat Sat. This has been declared as the triple appellation of Brahma, who is truth, consciousness, and bliss. By that were the Brahmins and the Vedas, as well as sacrifices created at the cosmic dawn. Therefore, acts of sacrifice, charity, and austerity, as enjoined by sacred precepts, are always commenced by noble persons, used to the recitation of Vedic chants with the invocation of the divine name Om, with the idea that all this belongs to God, who is denoted by the appellation Tat. Acts of sacrifice and austerity, as well as acts of charity of various kinds, are performed by the seekers of liberation, expecting no return for them. The name of God, Sat, is used in the sense of reality and goodness, and the word Sat is also used in the sense of praiseworthy, auspicious action, Arjun. And steadfastness in sacrifice, austerity, and charity is likewise spoken of as sat, and action for the sake of God is verily termed as sat. An oblation which is offered, a gift given, an austerity practiced, and whatever good deed is performed, if it is without faith, it is termed as naught, that is asat. Therefore, it is of no avail here or hereafter. Thus, in the Upanishad sung by the Lord, the science of Brahma, the scripture of yoga, the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna ends the 17th chapter entitled The Yoga of the Division of the Threefold Fate. Chapter 18. Arjuna said, O mighty armed Sri Krishna, O inner controller of all, O slayer of Keshi, I wish to know severally the truth of sannyas as also of tyag. Sri Bhagwan said, some sages understand sannyas as the giving up of all actions motivated by desire, and the wise declare that tyag consists in relinquishing the fruit of all actions. Some wise men declare that all actions contain a measure of evil and are therefore worth giving up, while others say that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be shunned. Of sannyas and tyag, first here, my conclusion on the subject of renunciation. Arjun, for renunciation, O tiger among men, has been declared to be of three kinds, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not worth giving up. They must be performed. For sacrifice, charity, and penance, all these are purifiers to the wise man. Hence, these acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance, and all other acts of duty too, must be performed without attachment and expectation of reward. This is my well considered and supreme verdict, Arjun. Prohibited acts and those that are motivated by desire should no doubt be given up, but it is not advisable to abandon a prescribed duty. Such abandonment through ignorance has been declared as tamasic. Should anyone give up his duties for fear of physical strain, thinking that all actions are verily painful, practicing such rajasic form of renunciation, he does not reap the fruit of renunciation. A prescribed duty which is performed simply because it has to be performed, giving up attachment and fruit, that alone has been recognized as the sattvic form of renunciation. He who has neither aversion for action, which is leading to bondage, nor attachment to that which is conducive to blessedness, imbued with the quality of goodness, he has all his doubts resolved, is intelligent and a man of true renunciation. Since all actions cannot be given up in their entirety by anyone possessing a body, he alone who renounces the fruit of actions is called a man of renunciation. Agreeable, disagreeable, and mixed. Therefore, threefold indeed is the fruit that occurs after death from the actions of the unrenouncing. But there is none whatsoever for those who have renounced. In the branch of learning known as Sankhya, which prescribes means for neutralizing all actions, the five factors have been mentioned as contributory to the accomplishment of all actions. Know them all from me, Arjun. The following are the factors operating towards the accomplishment of actions, which is the body and the doer, the organs of different kinds and the different functions of manifold kinds. And the fifth is Dev or Prarabdha or Karma, destiny. These five are the contributory causes of whatever actions, right or wrong, man performs with the mind, speech, and body. Notwithstanding this, however, he who, having an impure mind, regards the absolute, taintless self alone as the doer, that man of perverse understanding does not view aright. He whose mind is free from the sense of doership and whose reason is not affected by worldly objects and activities does not really kill, even having killed all these people, nor does any sin occur to him. The knower, knowledge, and the object of knowledge. These three motivate action. even so the doer, the organs, and activity. These are the three constituents of action. In the branch of knowledge dealing with the gunas or modes of Prakriti, knowledge and action, as well as the doer, have been declared to be of three kinds according to the guna, which predominates in each. Hear them too, duly from me. That by which men perceives one imperishable divine existence as undivided and equally present in all individual beings, know that knowledge to be sattvic. The knowledge by which man cognizes many existences of various kinds as part from one another in all beings, know that knowledge to be Rajasic. Again, that knowledge which clings to one body as if it were the whole and which is irrational, has no real grasp of truth, and is trivial, has been declared as Tamasic. That action which is ordained by the scriptures and is not accompanied by the sense of doership and has been done without any attachment or aversion by one who seeks no return is called Sattvic. That action, however, which involves much strain and is performed by one who seeks enjoyments or by a man full of egotism has been spoken of as Rajasic. That action which is undertaken through sheer ignorance without regard to consequences or loss to oneself, injury to others, and one's own resourcefulness is declared as Tamasic. Free from attachment, unegoistic, endowed with firmness and zeal, and unswayed by success and failure, such a doer is said to be Sattvic. The doer who is full of attachment seeks the fruit of actions and is greedy, and who is oppressive by nature and of impure conduct and is affected by joy and sorrow, has been called Rajasic. Lacking pity and self control, uncultured, arrogant, deceitful, inclined to rob others of their livelihood, slothful, despondent, and procrastinating, such a doer is called Tamasic. Now, here, Arjun, the threefold division based on the predominance of each guna of understanding, buddhi, and firmness, dhriti, which I shall explain in detail one by one. The intellect which correctly determines the path of activity and renunciation, what ought to be done and what should not be done, what is fear and what is fearlessness, and what is bondage and what is liberation, that intellect is sattvic. The intellect by which man does not truly perceive what is dharma and what is adharma, what ought to be done and what should not be done, that intellect is rajasic. The intellect which imagines even adharma to be dharma and sees all other things upside down, wrapped in ignorance, that intellect is tamasic. The unwavering firmness by which man controls through the yoga of meditation the functions of the mind, the vital layers, and the senses, that firmness, Arjun, is sattvic. The firmness, dhriti, however, by which the man seeking reward for his actions clutches with extreme fondness virtues, earthly possessions, and worldly enjoyments, that firmness, dhriti, is said to be rajasic. The firmness, dhriti, firmness, which means dhriti, by which an evil-minded person does not give up sleep, fear, anxiety, sorrow, and vanity as well, that firmness is tamasic. Now hear from me the threefold joy too, that in which the striver finds enjoyment through practice of adoration, meditation, and service to God, etc., and whereby he reaches the end of sorrow. Such a joy, through though appearing as poison in the beginning, tastes like nectar in the end. Hence, that joy, born as it is of the placidity of mind brought about by meditation on God, has been declared as sattvic. The delight which follows from the contact of the senses with their objects is eventually poisoned by it, though appearing at first as nectar. Hence, it has been spoken of as rajasic. That which stupefies the self during its enjoyment, as well as in the end, derived from sleep, indolence, and obstinate error, Such delight has been called tamasic. There is no being on earth or even among the gods in heaven or anywhere else who is free from these three gunas born of Prakriti. The duties of the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, and the Vaishyas, as well as of the Shudras, have been assigned according to their inborn qualities, Arjuna. Subjugation of the mind and senses, enduring hardship for the discharge of one's sacred obligations, external and internal, purity, forgiving the faults of others, straightness of mind, senses and behavior, belief in the Vedas and other scriptures, God and life after death, etc., study and teaching of the Vedas and other scriptures, and realization of the truth relating to God, all these constitute the natural duties of Brahman. Heroism, majesty, firmness, diligence, and dauntlessness in battle, bestowing gifts and lordliness, all these constitute the natural duty of a Kshatriya. Agriculture, rearing of cows, and honest exchange of merchandise, these constitute the natural duty of Vaishya. A member of trading class and service of the other classes is the natural duty even of a Shudra, a member of the laboring class. Keenly devoted to his own natural duty, man attains the highest perfection in the shape of God realization. Here, the mode of performance whereby the man engaged in his inborn duty reaches that highest consummation. By worshipping him from whom all beings come into being and by whom the whole universe is pervaded, through the performance of his own natural duties, man attains the highest perfection. Better is one's own duty, though devoid of merit, than the duty of another, well performed for performing the duty ordained by his own nature. Man does not incur sin. Therefore, Arjun, one should not relinquish one's innate duty, even though it has a measure of evil, for all undertakings are beset by some evil, as is the fire covered by smoke. He whose intellect is unattached everywhere, whose thirst for enjoyment has altogether disappeared, and who has subdued his mind, reaches through Sankhya Yoga the path of knowledge, the consummation of actionlessness. Arjun, know from me only briefly the process through which men, having attained actionlessness, which is the highest consummation of Gyan Yoga, the path of knowledge, reaches Brahma. Endowed with a pure intellect and partaking of a light, sattvic and regulated diet, living in a lonely and undefiled place, having rejected sound and other objects of senses, having controlled the mind, speech, and body by restraining the mind and senses through firmness of a sattvic type, taking a resolute stand on dispassion, after having completely got rid of attraction and aversion and remaining ever devoted to the yoga of meditation, having given up egotism, violence, arrogance, lust, anger, and luxuries, devoid of the feeling of meum and tranquil of heart, such a man becomes qualified for oneness with Brahma, who is truth, consciousness, and bliss. Established in identity with Brahma, who is truth, consciousness, and bliss, and cheerful in mind, the Sankhya yogi no longer grieves nor craves for anything. The same to all beings, such as yogi, attains supreme devotion to me. Through that supreme devotion, he comes to know me in reality, what and who I am, and thereby, knowing me truly, the forthwith merges into my being. The Karam Yogi, however, who depends on me, attains by my grace the eternal, imperishable state, even though performing all actions. Mentally dedicating all your actions to me and taking recourse to yoga in the form of even mindedness, be solely devoted to me and constantly fix your mind on me. With your mind thus devoted to me, you shall, by my grace, overcome all difficulties. But if from self conceit you do not care to listen to me, you will be lost. If taking your stand on egotism, you think, I will not fight, Vain is this resolve of yours. Nature will drive you to the act. That action too, which you are not willing to undertake through ignorance, you will perforce perform, bound by your own duty, born of your nature. Arjun, God abides in the heart of all creatures, causing them to revolve according to their karma by his elusive power, Maya, as though mounted on a machine. Take refuge in him alone, alone with all your being, Arjun. By his mere grace, you will attain supreme peace and the eternal abode. Thus has this wisdom, more profound than all profundities, been imparted to you by me. Deeply pondering over it, now do as you like. Here again, my supremely profound words, the most esoteric of all truths, as you are extremely dear to me. Therefore, I shall give you this salutary advice for your own good. Give your mind to me, be devoted to me, worship me, and bow to. Doing so, you will come to me alone. I truly promise you, for you are exceptionally dear to me. Resigning all your duties to me, the all powerful and all supporting Lord, take refuge in me alone. I shall absolve you all sins, worry not. This secret gospel of the Gita should never be imparted to a man who lacks in austerity, nor to him who is wanting in devotion, nor even to him who is not willing to hear, and in no case to him who finds fault with me. He who, offering the highest love to me, preaches the most profound gospel of the Gita among my devotees shall come to me alone. There is no doubt about it. Among men, there is none who does me a more loving service than he, nor shall anyone be dearer to me on the entire globe than he. Whosoever studies this sacred dialogue of ours in the form of the Gita, by him too shall I be worshipped with yajna of knowledge, such is my conviction. The man who listens to the Holy Gita with reverence, being free from malice, he too liberated from sin, shall reach the propitious worlds of pious and the virtuous. Have you, O Arjun, read this gospel of the Gita attentively, and has your delusion born of ignorance been destroyed? O Dhananjay, conqueror of riches. Arjun said, Krishna, by your grace my delusion has been destroyed and I have gained wisdom. I am free of all doubt. I shall do your bidding. Sanjay said, thus I heard the mysterious and thrilling conversation between Sri Krishna and the high-souled Arjuna, the son of Kunti. Having been blessed with the divine vision by the grace of Sri Vyas, I heard in person this supremely esoteric gospel from the Lord of Yoga, Sri Krishna himself, imparting it to Arjuna. Remembering over and over that sacred and mystic conversation between Bhagwan Sri Krishna and Arjuna, O King, I rejoice again and yet again. Remembering also again and again that most wonderful form of Sri Krishna, great is my wonder and I rejoice over and over again. Wherever there is Bhagwan Shri Krishna, the Lord of Yoga, and wherever there is Arjun, the wielder of the Gandhi bow, goodness, victory, glory, and unfailing righteousness will surely be there. Such is my conviction. Thus, in the Upanishad sung by the Lord, the science of Brahma, the scripture of Yoga, the dialogue between Shri Krishna and Arjun ends the 18th chapter entitled The Yoga of Liberation Through the Path of Knowledge and Self-Surrender. Om Tat Sat. जय भगवद गीते जय भगवद गीते हरि कमल विहारिणी सुंदर सुपुनीते जय भगवद गीते जय भगवद गीते कर्म सुमर्म प्रकाशिनी काम आसक्ति हरा तत्व ज्ञान विकाशिनी विद्या ब्रह्म परा जय भगवद गीते जय भगवद गीते निश्चल भक्ति मुक्ति विधायिनी निर्मल मलहारी, शरण रहस्य प्रदायिनी सब विधि सुखकारी। जय भगवद गीते। राग द्वेष विदारिणी कारिणी मोद सदा, भव भय हारिणी तारिणी परमानंद प्रदा। जय भगवद गीते। आसुर भाव विनाशिनी नाशिनी तम रजनी, देवी सद्गुण दायिनी हरि रसिका सजनी। जय भगवद गीते। समता त्याग सिखावनी हरि मुख की वाणी, सकल शास्त्र की स्वामिनी श्रुतियों की रानी। जय भगवत गीते। दया सुधा बरसावनी मात्र कृपा कीजे, हरिपद प्रेम दान कर अपनों कर लीजे। जय भगवद गीते। This completes the complete Bhagavad Gita. Jai Shri Krishna.